Just copy this and get the splits already. So I got the front splits last year, and I tried a lot of things along the way, and I'm going to tell you what actually worked. Step number one is to commit to the process of building flexibility for the long term. Getting the splits is a long term game. Building flexibility or strength are long term games because the results of flexibility and strength training only occur in the short term. You don't get to enjoy the benefits of stretching or strength training if you did it in some previous life. You only get to enjoy it in this life. So if you're only interested in short term results and then you want to quit, well, just save yourself some time and don't do any work at all because that'll lead you to the same place in the end. So flexibility is a long-term game, and that's one of the reasons it's such a good game and so worth playing. But the hardest thing about this game is just to keep playing it. So commit to the process. Now, what does the process actually look like? Well, long-term games require long-term strategies. So we don't want to just hit our splits position with a battering ram and hope that one day it will suddenly unlock. Instead, we want to take more of a hammer and chisel approach, where we're accruing quality, easy, but effective sessions over time, and over the long term, they add up into truly life-changing flexibility. So specifically, what I found works the best is to commit to a weekly habit of 2 stretching sessions of roughly 5 to 7 minutes each. But commit to this hard and be really consistent with that practice. Commit to trying that out for at least 3 months, and then at that point, you can evaluate if stretching and the flexibility and quality of life that that gives you is something that you actually want in your life or not. Now, part of committing to the process is allowing the goal itself, that is the splits or a drastic increase in flexibility, it's allowing that goal to fade into the background and actually just focusing on the day-to-day or on the process. As a beginner who hasn't already walked really, really far along the flexibility journey, your ability to estimate how long it will take you to get to a given level is going to be really, really bad. And your ability to know what specific steps will take you there is also going to be really, really bad. So don't worry too much about the long-term plan at the beginning. Just copy my specific session as your starting point, and then along the way, iterate on it based on your own feedback and your own experience. Just focus on making your weekly stretching sessions better, more fun, and easier to complete as you go along, and you'll get very, very far on this. Okay, now you're committed. The second thing to do is to schedule your first 2 5 to 7 minute stretching sessions right now. So take out your phone, look at your calendar, and find time this coming week in order to do your first sessions. I'm still waiting on getting access to your calendar, so I don't know exactly what you have going on, but here are a few general tips. If you do your stretching after some sort of other physical activity, you'll already be warm, so you can skip the warm-up, and you won't have to change your clothes. I like to stretch after I run. If you plan to do your stretching after a long, stressful day at work, you might not have the motivation to do something hard. Or it might be just what you need to break you out of a funk and get you excited to have a nice evening. I can't answer that for you. You'll have to play around with it and see what works for you. Step 3 is to actually complete your first session. So now you've traveled forward in time to that time you just scheduled, and wow, you're feeling pretty good. You're excited to try something new. You're feeling energized. You've got beginner's mind, and you're excited to improve your body and invest in yourself for the long term. You're wearing some clothing that's more flexible than you are, and you've got something to rest your knee on, like a mat or a pillow or a towel, and you've got something to slide your feet easily along the floor, like socks or a towel. First, we'll do a warm-up. So we will do 1 minute of lunges or split squats, alternating legs and resting as you see fit. Over this minute, gradually allow yourself to go deeper, and the goal at the end of it is to have your leg muscles feeling warm, primed, and ready to work hard. Now we do our first set of high-intensity stretching. Begin from this knee-supported straight leg position and gradually slide yourself forward until you feel a decent stretch. Allow yourself to do small movements around this position, like shifting your hips, rotating your upper body, experimenting with a slight knee bend. Really explore the position. Use this first rep to learn about how the splits position feels and try to find some cues or tweaks that allow your body to get a little bit deeper. Once you feel a 6 out of 10 stretch sensation or have spent about 45 seconds, come back up. Now repeat this on the opposite side and make sure to apply any of those cues that you learned on the first side. Do this again for about 45 seconds. This first rep was a moderate intensity, and it serves as a further warm-up for the next high intensity set. Rep 2 is a proper high intensity stretching set. So we're going to perform another rep with the following differences. First, you're going to film yourself from the side in order to measure your current depth. This will give you a nice before and after photo, and this will be how you objectively measure your progress over time and see exactly how deep you're getting. So with this rep, try to get a little bit deeper than last time, aiming to feel a 7 out of 10 stretch sensation. So what does that feel like, John? What is a 7 out of 10 stretch sensation? Well, it takes a little bit of experience, but here's a rough guide. You should feel a moderate stretch throughout all the muscles that are relevant to the splits. So that's from your calf to your hamstrings to your glutes to your hip flexor to your quads. You should feel a moderate stretch in basically all of those muscles, and you might feel a pretty strong stretch in one or two of them. Personally, I often feel the strongest stretch behind my front knee, but you might be different. But I want to make very clear that this stretch sensation should never feel like pain. If you've gone into pain, you've gone too far. Stop immediately, rest a few days, and come back to your next sensation, but be a little bit more conservative. Over time, by practicing, you will get better at judging your intensity. The second difference with this rep is that during it, we want to flex our muscles in order to build a bit of strength and in order to pull us actually deeper into the splits. Start by spending a few seconds flexing the bottom parts of your legs, which will effectively lift your pelvis higher and push you out of the splits position. Then fully relax and allow gravity to pull you deeper. And then fully flex the top part of your legs in order to push you deeper still, because that flexion will work with gravity to pull you deeper. Continue oscillating through these muscle actions for about a minute or up until you've hit that 7 out of 10. Then simply repeat on the other side. Now there's an optional third set that you can do. If you feel like you have energy left and you didn't really hit that 7 out of 10, then just do another set and make it a little bit more intense. If you did that second set and you feel like, nah, I'm pretty good, then just relax, rest up, and come back and do it again in a few days. Pat yourself on the back, reward yourself with a nice big glass of milk, and write any notes down in your training log. Rest up a few days until you feel ready to stretch again, and then come back trying to go a little bit deeper. Each week, feel free to up the intensity by one level up to a 9 out of 10. Once you've reached a 9 out of 10 in your sessions, then it's up to you to auto-regulate. If you feel super recovered, then maybe push 8 or 9 out of 10. If you don't feel super recovered, then maybe leave it at a 7. Over time, you'll get better at judging what the right level of stimulus is for you on any given day. Step 4, keep this up for at least 2 months without changing anything. By that time, you will have started to notice some bottlenecks in your splits position. It might be that your hamstrings have loosened up a huge amount, but your hip flexors feel really tight. In that case, you can isolate the hip flexors with the couch stretch, but just perform it using this high intensity method. Likewise, if your hamstrings are holding you back, then just do a hamstring isolation stretch, but again, in this same high intensity method. Sprinkle these isolations in as needed in order to keep progressing that main lift, or the main stretch, which is the splits, over time. To reiterate, really focus on the process here and just try to make every splits practice session a little bit better and a little bit more productive than the last. Measure your depth every 1 or 2 weeks to make sure you're continuing to make progress, and experiment a lot to make the habit part of this thing stick, because ultimately none of this matters if you don't actually show up and do it. So finding a way to fit this into your lifestyle is extremely important. Try stretching at different times of day. Try stretching while your food's in the oven at night. Try stretching while you watch something on TV in the evenings. Iterate the process to adapt it to your unique body and your unique lifestyle over time. And finally, just enjoy moving better and not feeling so restricted by your flexibility. All right, so that was quite fast and quite high level. So if you have any questions about these, drop them in the comments and I will address them in a future video. In the meantime, have a great day, stretch smarter, move more, and live a better life. We'll see you soon.